Beth and I'm a public educator in rural West Virginia. In my classroom, I teach 22 very inquisitive and active second graders. When I began to think about what I wanted to do for this Capstone project, I knew that I wanted to do something that would be both beneficial for my students and myself. My second grade team had implemented the Leader in Me program this school year, and from that I was inspired by Habit 2 to begin with the end in mind. I knew where I wanted my students to get by the end of the activity. Seeing that many of my students rarely travel outside of a 60-mile radius of home, I am constantly trying to find ways, mainly through the internet, to help expose them to the world beyond us. I found a population activity that sparked my interest on National Geographic's Education Resources website, which I frequent often. I knew it would be a great activity to build a couple lessons upon, focusing on the global scale. I knew if I started with the end goal of getting my students to an understanding of how population affects them as second graders, then I would consider this project a success as I expand their attitude of curiosity. The project began by introducing the word population. I asked my students to share with a partner what they think that word means. From there, we regrouped and shared our discussions, which were quite comical. Students had connected the word to popular and pollution. They shared their thoughts with the whole group, and we filled in a KWL chart. I directed them to the questions that would guide our project, such as what is population and how does it affect us as a second grader here in West Virginia. I shared the definition of population, and as the very simple definition began to roll off my lips, many of the students began to snicker and giggle, as they might have remembered having heard the word before. Next, we moved into the research phase of our lesson. After discussing how we were going to put on our global thinker hats, students were assigned to work with a partner and were given one of the top 10 most populated countries to research. I showed them how to navigate on a kid-friendly search engine to find the population of that country. Findings were recorded, and we worked on how to correctly read the number that they recorded in order to compare them, which took a little while, so that they could be placed in order from the largest to the smallest country based on their population. We then moved on from the population of the countries to focus on their geographical locations. I used the National Geographic Mapmaker interactive tool to help students locate their countries on the map. We discussed the size of their country in relation to the population and how it was or wasn't what we would have expected. After we looked at each country all together, I gave each student a world map, and they found and colored their country. We ended our lesson by reviewing what it was we had learned that day about population and cleared up all the misconceptions we had had from the beginning of our lesson.
Population means that how many things or people are in a country.
The next day, we shifted gears and completed an activity in order to see how the population affects natural resources. The students were able to see how the population, which we represented, can have an effect on the natural resources of an area, which were represented by cookies in a bowl. We passed the cookies around the circle, and they were allowed to take as many as they wanted. The bowl was empty before it was even halfway around the circle. This allowed the students to be able to connect visually how a country can deplete its resources when they aren't managed correctly in highly populated countries.
In this book, we have a small population, and we have enough resources.
I want my students to be well-rounded. I want them to leave my classroom and remember that they have the ability to be the change, whatever it is, that is needed in the world. I want them to be able to self-reflect and see the implications of their actions on future generations. Yet above all, I hope they remember to do all these things with an attitude of kindness.